That's right, every level ranked. This is going to be a long video probably, but as you guys know, there's been a lot of good Skylanders levels, but there's also been some major stinkers, and we're going over all of them in this video. What an insane video. But we gotta get to some rules first to try to make this list as concise as possible. So, let's get to the rules.
Like I said, since we are ranking every level ever, we need to get some ground rules out of the way to try to make this list concise as possible. And one of the first rules is, sadly, I have made the tough decision to not include any 3DS levels on this list, mainly because most of the 3DS levels are pretty different from regular ones that we've seen in the console releases and probably could get their own video one day. The second rule is that no battle arenas are on this list, or any racetracks will be on this list because they're not the linear levels we are used to. Also, no dedicated boss levels will be counted as levels because it only features a boss and nothing else. That means none of the Swap Force boss levels will be on this list, but levels that have bosses in them but the bosses are not the main theme will be on this list. So while Mesmerelda's boss level will not be on this list, levels like the Bandit Train will be because the boss isn't the only focus. However, I am including the Chaos Bass Battle level and Chaos's mom's boss battle level because those are two pretty big levels in Swap Force. All expansion packs levels will be on this ranking too, along with Elemental Realms from Imaginators. And we also know in Superchargers that there are 50 chapters, but there isn't going to be 50 spots for Superchargers because even though there are different chapters in each level, there is definitive areas where all those chapters take place in. So instead of Superchargers having a showing of 50 levels, it will only have a showing of 13. And my final rule is no hub worlds will count as levels, and I really wanted to make them count, but they're just way too different from actual levels, and it's just really hard to rank them consistently with them. Okay, with all those rules and exceptions being said, that gives us 26 levels from Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, 16 levels from Giants, 16 levels from Swap Force, 22 from Trap Team, 13 from Superchargers, and 25 from Skylanders Imaginators, giving us a total of 118 levels. Alright, and remember, I am going to have opinions. This is all my opinion, and with 118 levels, we are sure to have some difference in opinions. So please go easy on me for this one, please.
Alright, so with all the rules being said, there's only one more thing to do. You're probably wondering what the worst level in Skylanders is. So let's get to it. The worst level in Skylanders is
Griffin Park Observatory from Skylanders Imaginators. Now let me just say, there are not a lot of levels from Skylanders that I outright hate, but this is freaking one of them. There are a lot of reasons to absolutely hate this level. First of all, I can at least see what they're trying to do with this level. They're trying to make a mini open world level, and I really wanted an open world Skylanders game, but they completely botched it on this one. First of all, the level sucks. It's so weird to control. Also, the level is way too complicated to navigate. It took me years to find everything on this map. I almost resorted to looking up a guide, but I stayed strong and found everything. This level wouldn't be as sucky if there wasn't just so many caves that you need torches to navigate with, and the cave sections are so boring and so unnecessary. Also, there's just a random barbarian that's just on the map like what, and there's another section where you have to wait for sheep to eat some leaves so you can get to the rest of the level. You just have to wait and stand there, and sometimes they don't even do it. This level is just so bad. They try to make an open world level, but it is not how you want to do an open world level. It takes way too long to find things, and the level is just not fun to play through. And I do not want to talk about this level anymore, since it's giving me so much anger. Let's move on. Okay, and the next level is the Tech Realm, and I know 2 Imaginator levels in a row, but it gets better for Imaginators. This level is so weird that I almost made an exception for this level to not be on the list, but I decided not to. The whole point of this level is just to make toys. It's so boring, and it's just such a misplaced level. and it takes forever even to get one toy finish, and this is hardly a level. But I had to include it because all realms from Imagineers would be on it, so it'd be weird just to exclude one realm, but it's awful. The level is so boring and completely misses the mark, which lands it all the way down in 117th place. Like a lot of the levels from Swap Force, Phantasm Forest is an extremely long level. But not just that, this level has so many parts that you could have got rid of and would make little to no change at all in this level. Not just that, but I don't even like this level. You basically play as a fighter fire in level, and because the Skylanders fighter fires suck at their job, I guess, you have to go and fight all the fires. This level is so long and it's so unnecessary. They probably could have bumped this level down all the way to probably just 20 minutes in length, but no, they had to make it long like all the Swap Force levels we see in the roster. Also, there's a Chaos boss battle at the end of this level. Yeah, I bet you forgot about that one. It is just such a horrible level, and they put a Chaos boss fight in it, and it's still somehow forgettable. Not shocking at all that this is the third worst level in Skylanders history. The next level is a weird level. It's Rodeo-Apocalypse Demo Derby. There isn't really anything that bad about this level, but it's just not a Skylanders level. And while there is a level you can get to in the Superchargers Gate, it's just doing Skystone, so it's not that great. And you just fight not that great enemies as well the entire time, and it's on a vehicle. The entire level is just basically in a vehicle, so while I don't really outwardly hate it, I cannot justify putting other Skylanders levels that at least attempt being levels. I can't put it any higher than that, so that's why it gets 115th place. Secret Vault of Secrets is just yet another level that doesn't feel like a Skylanders level because half the time you're just in a giant mech suit. And the turret, mech, whatever you want to call it, sections are really boring. At least you can get out of the mech sometimes, but when you do, it's not that much better. You're just on a narrow cliff, so level design is very bland at best. Let's move on. Hey, the first level from SSA is Skyshooter Docks, and guess what? It's utter trash. I don't like it. It has a lot of turret sections, which will always slow down a level to a screeching halt. You know that turret sections are always a not good idea to put in a level, and guess what? There's at least 3 turret sections in this level. Why? This level is already not the greatest, so just combining it with turret sections makes the level way worse than it has to be. And even worse is that it's such an early level in the first game of Skylanders, so they should really be trying to make a better impression than this, but no, they didn't, and it failed this level. Very sad to see. Well, here it is. Trap Team is the only game that has not yet made an appearance on this ranking, but its reign of terror is now over with Secret Sewers of Supreme Stink being on the rankings now. And first of all, that name is way too long. So, already not a good impression. And this level is just so boring to get through. It does nothing right, but it does a lot of things wrong. There's a bunch of puzzles in this level that I'm not a fan of, and also parts where you're just waiting, like when you have to go down sections in the sewers of Supreme Stink and just wait. It sucks. There is nothing good about this level, and whenever I have to replay Trap Team, I am not excited to be on this level. Let's move on, because I want to not see any of this stink anymore. Actually, you know what? The next level isn't that much better either with Sheepwreck Isles. This level could have been great. Adding the Sheep Mage, that sounds awesome, but it was ruined so badly. I don't want to talk about this level any longer than I have to. Let's move on. It just completely missed the mark on all fronts. A very boring level with a very bad boss fight at the end. You know what? Fizzland isn't that much better than any of the other levels we have talked about. This level is a ripoff of a ripoff. They have already done the hopping to different dimensions so many times in the Skylanders series, and they did it again here. And I think this is way worse than any of the other hopping realms that we have seen so far. The level design of this level is horrible, and the Doomlander in this level is one of the worst ones. I hate the globules as well. Whatever, they suck. This level looks so stupid, and it's so bad. So yeah, it's not a shocker that this one's so low on the list. The Magic Realm is just a big nothing burger. It's slightly better than Fizzland, but that's not saying much. You just have to go around and place objects which make bridges, and it's always so hard to find out where to place what. And I never want to play this level ever again. It's one of the worst ones out there. and it's definitely a bottom 10 level.
So with the bottom 10 finally being eliminated from this ranking, you're probably thinking, well, stuff gets better from here now, right? No. Skylanders still has a bunch of abominations to offer us yet, so let's try to get through them.
Just barely making it past the bottom 10 is the Sensei Air level. What can I say you can do in this level except wait? Just waiting for platforms, and that is always something that's always made the air elemental gates such bad elemental gates, as you always have to wait for moving platforms. I don't understand why they do this at all. But even when you're not waiting, there isn't really anything to offer there either. Besides some enemies, and guess what, some more waiting. Yeah, this level had a lot of potential, but it just flopped entirely. No wonder why it's ranked so low. Okay, let's go back to Swap Force with Twisty Tunnels. And this is another one that, what can I say, it's a boring level. It's 100% one of the worst levels in Swap Force, and it does nothing to separate it from the other ones. The only thing good about this level is that it brings you to the end of the desert section in Swap Force. That's the only good thing about it. Let's talk about Trap Team again. And it is another desert level, the Golden Desert. Another desert level, well, first of all, it's a desert level, so it can't be that good either. In another case of just being a bland level, and it doesn't do anything to stand out from the crowd. And the worst thing is, it's a filler level that we didn't even need to be in the game. We just have to do some random stuff before we actually get to fight the Golden Queen. And it's like I said, a filler level with no reason to be in the actual game. And anything that happens in this level, like Callie getting frozen to gold, is completely retconned right after the level happens. Another reason I hate this level. Going all the way back to the first game, Spiral's Adventure is Stormy Stronghold. It's the 4th ever level, but it doesn't do a lot to help itself. It's just so monotonous, but at least it's over pretty quick, and we do get the first Eternal Source in this level. But yeah, what can I say except it's bland and there's nothing to do here. Let's move on. We still have a couple Sensei realms left, but we're about to knock off another one with the Undead realm. Really, the only thing I can say that's at least kind of interesting about this level is that sometimes it changes every time you play. I guess that's cool, but even though there are multiple different versions of the Undead realm, none of them are that good, and it doesn't do anything that makes you want to play this level more than once. Coming in at our 103rd place is the first final level, which we have the Supercharger Sky Eater. Whenever I play this level, I just always want to skip to the Chaos boss fight. There is nothing that this level does that makes you want to play it before getting to that Chaos boss fight. And even when you get to the Chaos boss fight, it's not that good either. Definitely the worst Chaos boss level. But it's not over from there. Oh no. You also have the Darkness boss battle. The biggest boss battle that you've ever done in Skylanders. And guess what? It's on a vehicle, so yeah, this was always going to be a bottom tier level with such a huge boss fight at the end, and you just get stuck to a vehicle, something that plagues Superchargers. And right before the Sky Eater is the level of the Bandit Train, which is our 102nd place level. This is another level that is just a filler level that shouldn't even exist, but even though it's a filler level, they could at least make the level interesting. So there at least is a point of playing this level, but no. I mean, it's not the worst Superchargers level, but it's the one that I have not played in the longest amount of time, because there is no reason it should exist in the first place. Scholarville is up next. I guess this level had an interesting idea, but it's so boring and bland, what can I say? And even the evil sea monster in the end adds nothing special. But that's really all I can remember from this level. With all the weird and wacky stuff that happens in Imaginators, Scholarville just does nothing to stick out at all, which means it's going to get a bottom tier placement.
Okay, so we're about to officially enter the top 100, but sadly, that does not mean any of these levels are getting any better from here on out, so let's try to eliminate some more levels from the ranking.
Just narrowly making the top 100 is Boney Islands, the first snow-themed level in Skylanders Swap Force, and we still have some not good levels, even though we're in the top 100. And what really drags this level down is through the entire level we have to escort a trolley, which is just so annoying and slow. And we also randomly sometimes have to fill in holes in the road, which is not fun at all. All of this slows down the level to a screeching halt, which makes it such a boring level. This again is the level that I do not want to play ever again. Okay, I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but at 99th place is Thumpin' Wumpin' Islands from Imaginators. Look, everyone get your pitchforks down and let me explain. Look, I understand why some of you may love this level because it's a Crash Bandicoot level, and I will agree, this is a Crash Bandicoot level through and through, but that does not mean it's a good Skylanders level. This is just a bit weird. First of all, in the original Crash games, the villagers are your enemies, but for some reason here, they're your allies, which is strange, and just feel out of place. And this entire level just doesn't give me Skylanders vibes at all. It gives me Crash vibes, which just doesn't sit right with me. Also, the fake Crash boss battle does not help out this level either. I know a lot of people say this level is one of the best, but for me, 99th place is as high as it could get. We have not talked about giants for a while, but the next level is Glacier Gully. Well, it seems that snow levels are just not doing that good on this list. But the best thing this level does is that it introduces us to our best ghost robot friend, but everything else is meh. There's also a weird part of the level where you have to slide through this ice part, which with certain Skylanders is basically impossible. So that's always fun. And the really only good thing besides the best ghost robot friend is Noodles. He's an icon. But besides that, this is just really a not that great level. And the level design isn't good either. Whenever I play it, I'm not having a good time, so yeah, it lands at 98th place. Keeping in line right after Glacier Gully is another winter-themed level in Winter Keep. This is just basically a better version of Boney Islands, but that isn't saying that much. When we enter the level, the citizens are having a big snowball fight with some Cyclops that we need to help them with, but much like Boney Island, it's a very dragged out level. I mean, at least the level looks good, I guess, but the level takes way too long to finish, but you get to grind on a rainbow rail at the end, so at least you end on a high note. Okay, and now a beach theme level, which I guess is a beach theme level because the next level is Shellmount Shores. Fun fact, this level has Blobber's house in it. And another fun fact that this level is not that good. It has a couple of grind rails in it, so that is obviously a bad thing, and this level just isn't memorable. Now, what I will get this level credit for is that it does have the Night Sensei Shrine, so my boy Blastertron can get his Sky Chi. But other than that, what can I say? That's what I think. There is nothing I can say about this level. This level is just not inspired at all and seems very rushed. I mean, there is an enemy in this level that appears that you don't even get to fight because you just get kills by a flying rock. Like, why was the enemy even there? But whatever, it's a bland level and does nothing for Skylanders Imaginators. The future of Skylanders is a level that had so much going for it. I mean, a future level? Toys for Bob could have basically done whatever they wanted to, but no, they went with the bland and washed out space theme for this level. I mean, I guess the tech is futuristic, but they could have done so much more with this. But I must give this level credit for introducing the best Skylander ever in Blastertron. But that can only get you so far, and realistically though, this level is still pretty bad. Too bad that one of the best boss battles ever in Skylanders takes place after this level with the Wolfgang boss battle, but this level is just not that good. But, I mean, at least we've gotten past the absolute worst, and more of the levels from here on are just going to be mediocre or below average, but yeah, Future of Skylanders is a great example of mediocre and below average. You know, Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, we haven't talked a lot in a while, but that's over because Cadaverous Crypt is the next level on the ranking. Honestly, all of the undead levels are more the same in Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, but I think Cadaverous Crypt is the most boring out of the three. This has a lot of points where the gameplay just slows down to a screeching halt, when we have to move cannons around to explode things, which takes forever. It takes forever to move these cannons, and I'm just not having a good time. I mean, I guess it's cool that there's a bunch of skulls in this level, but with all that, this level is a filler level, and it doesn't even need to exist. Something that sadly, a lot of the other levels in Skylanders Spyro's Adventure have. And right after Cadaverous Crypts, next on the list is Crawling Catacombs. At least this level isn't a filler level because it introduces us to probably the second funniest character in all of Skylanders, T-Bone. But like I said, all the undead levels in Skylanders Adventure do nothing really to stand out from each other, so when it comes to ranking them, it comes down to little things. We don't have to move any cannons, so that's a good thing, but there is this weird section where everything goes dark around you for no reason, but honestly, I'm okay with it. Really, I just think this level design is just a tad better than Cadaver's Crypts, which is why it places one place higher. I said that all the undead levels are more or less the same, so you can guess which level is next. Creepy Citadel stands out the most from the other undead levels. There's also this weird swampy area with a bunch of square dudes in it, but you know what? I can appreciate it, since it changes up the game ever so slightly. So while it's still pretty weird, I kinda like it in a way. But we get inside the castle in this level, and it's actually not that bad. It feels different from all the undead levels, even if ever so slightly. And then after killing a bunch of guards, we get to this maze area, which for whatever reason took me forever to find out when I was a kid, but I have no idea why, because it's not that hard at all. And after that, we get to battle Chaos's evil minions, and for whatever reason, these minions are really hard. Probably the hardest minions to get through out of all of Spyro's adventure. But after that, we get the undead life source, bringing us to the end of the undead levels from SSA.
And speaking of in a row, the next 4 levels we'll be talking about are all elemental realms from Imaginator, so let's get to ranking those 4 realms.
The worst placing out of these 4 is the Dark Realm. This level is basically just a longer version of the Dark Elemental Gates from Trap Team, just rolling balls around and using them to grant us access to other parts of the level and doing a lot of puzzles with the balls. But this does do a good job at being a dark themed level. It fits it perfectly and everything about it screams dark element. But in saying that, the dark elemental gates have always been pretty generic. I think even though it does do its job, this could have done a lot better. And at the end of the level, for some reason, we grind back to the beginning to end it off, which not a strong ending. Our next realm on our little run of elemental levels is the Light Realm. And look, I know the 2 light NPCs are super annoying. Yes, I know. Not being able to skip them and with their annoying voices, it's pretty bad. But after that, this place is just a bunch of puzzles. And it was a good idea having a lot of the light puzzles from past games, since this is the Light Realm. But much like the Dark Realm, it just feels generic, and you can clearly tell they ripped off the design right from the Sunscraper Spire, the OG light level. But I have to mention the NPCs one more time because they are super annoying. You can't skip them, and they just cannot stop talking. However, even though it slows down the actual level, the level after that is quite decent. Nothing bad, but nothing really good. Alright, the Live Realm is up next on the list. And let me just say that the level design for this place is beautiful and definitely fits the life theme. There's a big theme with acorns in this place, using them to make cannons to shoot rats, which are trying to take over the life realm. But really, there is nothing else to do, so even though the level looks amazing, 89th place is as high as it can get on this list. Ending us off with this 4 elemental realm run is the Fire Realm. First of all, the music in the background is a remix of the Quicksilver Vault music, which is my favorite soundtrack, so it gets brownie points for that. All of these realms are much shorter than actual levels, so it was always going to be pretty hard for realms to place high on this list. Especially this one, as you can see the entire level from the beginning. But even though it's probably a really generic idea, I think it's perfect that the Fire Realm takes place right next to a volcano that's about to explode. I might add that the volcano is called Mount Kilimanjaro, which I guess is a nice reference. To stop the volcano, we need to freeze a couple of lava spewing from the volcano. But this level is basically over before it even started, much like all the realms, which is why it eventually does get pretty low on this list, even though I quite like the realm. Like I said in the beginning of this video, the only 2 boss battle levels that will be on this list is Chaos's mom and Chaos himself. And Chaos's mom, aka Mother Mayhem, is the first one on the list. This boss battle is kind of arena based, so we don't get to fight Cassandra right away, which, I mean, we don't get to fight her at all, but we'll talk about that later. We have to go through 3 arenas before we can actually get to her, and something interesting they did with this, and since Cassandra is a portal master, they gave her the ability to hide in portals. She will disappear every now and again, and we have to take the Skylander off the portal, and we can see her hiding in the portal area. A really neat idea, I think. and it's something that is unique to this level. But sadly, guess what? There is no boss battle with Cassandra, as she just tries to beam us and she misses and gets stuck in a giant mirror. What an idiot. This level would have been higher ranked if we actually got to see a boss fight instead of what we got. And right after Motherly Mayhem is the other dedicated boss battle in Cloudbreak Core. The Chaos boss battle, and as well as probably the most bizarre Chaos boss battle in the entire series. Chaos basically gets high off a bunch of petrified darkness and turns into a giant monster. Kinda weird, it's a kid's game, but whatever, I guess I can roll with it. If that wasn't weird, the actual boss battle is even weirder. The first thing we have to do is destroy Chaos's evil toenails. Yeah, and eventually we get inside of Chaos's brain, and I guess we defeat him by, I don't know, controlling his mind, and then the boss battle is over. This is probably the easiest Chaos boss battle in the entire series, but it's definitely memorable, but maybe not for the right reasons. We have not talked about Trap Team since 95th place, but that ends now because the next level on this list is Operation Troll Rocket Steel. And I know all the Crash of Skylanders fanboys are about to dislike this video because that's his favorite level, but for me, this is the 85th best level, and that's not that far away, right? Jokes aside, this level is a big straight line with a battle arena at the end of it, and that's really it. There is very little stuff you can do to the side, and whenever I do a playthrough of Trap Team, I just try to get through this level as soon as possible. And even Crash, the guy who states this is his favorite level, admits that it doesn't even honor exploration, which I most definitely agree with, which is why it doesn't get that high. Okay, Troll Home Security. A troll-themed level is next on the list, and I don't know what it is about Troll Home Security, but I have always just thought this was one of the most bland levels ever. Nothing really sticks out to me. I mean, I guess it's cool that rockets get shot at us near the end of the level, but there's just nothing about this place that makes it rememberable at all, and probably one of the most forgettable levels. But the reason it ranks past all the other atrocities is that it's not a bad level, far from that. It's just not memorable, and you probably even forgot this level even exists. I mean, I guess it's cool that you get to throw a statue of Chaos, that's fun, but because of all the boringness, it lands pretty low on this list. And much of the same can be said about Chaos's Castle. This is the home of the main villain of Skylanders, so you would think they'd try to make this level interesting, but nope. It's just your stock image of a castle that we start outside of for some reason, trying to make our way into the castle. And, I mean, it makes sense that you should be outside the castle before the level starts. We have to get inside the castle somehow. But why should so much of the outside even exist? Fun fact, probably about half this level, if not more, isn't even inside the castle. Why? I get that we need to make our way inside the castle, you can't just spawn it inside the castle, but we should be able to get in the castle faster. But the inside of the castle isn't that much better. The inside is once again your stock image of a castle. We do a couple stuff and we get outside the castle once again to a battle arena, which honestly the battle arena is pretty good, but it can't carry the rest of this level to get any higher. Speaking of Chaos, the next level on this list is the Ultimate Weapon, and it has the hardest boss battle in the entire series at the end of it. And while the boss battle is one of the best in the series, if not the best, the level before it is pretty bleh. We make our way through it, and you guessed it, the Ultimate Weapon, which sounds really awesome and cool, is actually really bland and boring. We are going through a lot of levels right now that are just not rememberable, and the Ultimate Weapon is no different. For a finale, I expected better from Toys for Bob. Going back to Giants is Mullican Mountain. I don't know what to say about Mullican Mountain, but I've always found it lackluster. I mean, it's one of the last chapters of the game, but nothing about this says final stretch. But like Chaos Castle, this level is pretty bad, but the battle arena at the end once again slaps, but the rest of the level before it is just a mediocre experience at best. You know, a lot of the same can be said about Know-It-All Island, which is ranking just one place higher than Mullican Mountain, and this level is home to the worst trappable enemy in the game. Oddly enough, his name is Slobbertrap. The main theme of this level is going through Know-It-All Island and talk to Know-It-Alls to get information about the Doom Raiders, but the Know-It-Alls are a complete afterthought, as you don't even need to talk to these dudes to complete the level, you can just skip them all. So yeah, obviously not that good of game design, and the level itself is just designed so blandly. Just a grassy, rocky level, which we have already seen so many in this series of. I think one of the levels with the most potential was aerial attack, but it was a total flop. First of all, there are 2 turret sections in this level, so obviously that is not good. I mean, going on a ghost ship sounds cool in theory, but I don't know what it is about this one, but the level design for it is pretty below average. The textures and everything they did to design the ghost ship just seems so ghostly generic. And the actual ship itself was not that designed either. They just went for the absolute most generic ghost designs of everything in this level, making it a very, very bad level to experience. Another level that follows the trend of being bland and boring with bare bone level design would be Time Town from Skylanders Trap Team. What is there to say about this area? The first word that comes to mind whenever I think about Time Town is just below average. All the set pieces, for the most part, are just your stereotypical clock stuff, and what else can I say except nothing else? I cannot say anything about this level, except that there's a glitch in this level, which for whatever reason, sometimes the enemy gates just won't lower, which makes you have to play this level again, which is something I really do not want to do. Speaking of generic, Eyed Jak Gulch is your generic Western theme level. It is a better Western theme level than Twisty Tunnels, but that's not saying that much. This level sees us going through some Western towns, and then for some reason we go inside a 10,000 gallon hat. Like, what? But actually inside of this hat has some water flowing through it, and we use barrels as platforms. And this is probably the best part of the level, but it's over so quickly, and we go back to the old town roads in no time. This level could have been way better if we were in the 10,000 gallon hat for longer, or if the whole focus was the 10,000 gallon hat. But no, we get another Western themed level instead. Boring. We have already talked about a couple other final levels in this ranking, and the next one is Chaos Fortress from Skylanders Swap Force. I get what Vicarious Visions was trying to do with this one. They wanted to make a final level that stood out and was different from all the other final levels we had seen in this series, but nothing about this level reminds me of Chaos. If I had never played Swap Force and someone just told me that this wasn't a final level and just another regular level, I would probably believe them, as this level does not feel like a Chaos level at all. It's just not a Chaos level, but outside of that, it's also not that great of a level either. This is a sneak level, and you have to sneak around the place, but sneaking in a platformer game simply is just not gonna work. I'm also not a big fan of the coloring of this level either, and it was always doomed from the start. Normally I would love a pirate themed level, but Rainfish Riviera completely drops the ball. There is nothing of note in this level, and guess what? It's a filler level. How amazing. Nothing that happens here affects the game at all, and you come here for an information squid, but guess what? Chaos was in it the entire time, so we did all that for nothing. And there's also bridge puzzles, which I just do not like, and you know what? I don't want to talk about this level anymore. Let's go to the next level. You know what, I might want to take back what I said, since Monster Marsh is not that much better. At least this level does something though. You get clickbaited into thinking that you'll get the catch dream catch on this level, but no, you don't. You go through this pretty mediocre level at the end of it with a pretty mediocre battle arena. How fitting. And there's also this weird section in the middle of the level where you have to wait for this knockoff Persephone to go through this river with you, and since somehow your Skylanders are faster than her, you have to wait for her, and you just have to move like every 10 seconds, which is just not fun at all. You know, we haven't talked about any first levels yet, but that comes to an end with Rift to Skylands getting our 73rd place. The beginning of this level, I straight up do not like. I am already not a big fan of vehicle sections in Skylanders, so starting off the game with that leaves a sour taste in my mouth. You know, they could have at least made an attempt to make this first vehicle section fun, but no, it's just a straight line, and the prison part is fine enough, I guess, but then we get put into another vehicle section, which is pretty lame as well. Just not a good start to a game. Coincidentally, Time of the Giants is also another first level. Time of the Giants suffers from what a lot of first levels in games suffer from. It is just way too short. I mean, this level is basically over before it starts, but the level itself is fine enough, but it does not do enough to rank itself any higher than all the other levels we have seen so far. Still, a pretty okay level, though even with it being an okay level, I just cannot justify ranking it higher because it is just so quick. You know, it's been a while since we talked about Spyro's adventure levels, and the last time we seen it on the list was all the way back at 92nd place, but no more because Perilous Pastures is next, which is also the second ever level in a Skylanders game. For a second level, it's actually pretty okay, but much like Time of the Giants, it takes no time at all to finish this, making it a pretty forgettable level despite it being the second level ever. But this is a nice area of Skylanders, but it's just way too short.
Okay, so we've hit the point into the video where all levels moving forward are okay levels that I just have some problems with. We haven't got quite into the best of the best Skylanders levels yet, but we're getting close, which is always a good thing, and this video is probably super long, so if you want to get up, stretch, and maybe get some snacks while you're at it. But with all that being said, let's get to some more levels.
Swap Force did at least one thing that Trap Team couldn't do, and that was make a decent level about Clock, since Tower of Time is next on the list. This level introduces us to Clock, which is one of the funniest characters in Skylanders, and it's such a shame that he only ever gets 2 levels in the series. Tower of Time reintroduces the mechanic in Dark Light Crypt, but a little bit differently. Instead of switching realms, it slows down time, a pretty neat mechanic, but I don't know. I got pretty tired of it by the end of this level. We also get to use the time slowing mechanic in Cluck's boss battle, but it just makes the boss battle so easy. Way too easy. Overall, Tower of Time is a pretty decent level in my opinion. Coming in at the desirable 69th spot is Enchanted Elven Forest. Nice. Enchanted Elven Forest is one of the expansion pack levels from Imaginators. Thankfully, it did not suffer the same fate as 2 other expansion pack levels we'll be talking about later on. This level is actually pretty affordable and it's not over $100. Now, while this level is a blatant ripoff of Treetops, I still like it, what can I say? It's an okay level. The grind rails will always hurt the level in the long run, and the boss battle is kind of weird, but it's not a horrible boss. I actually kind of like Angry Mutant Tree boss battle. Wow, Toys for Bob, great job naming your bosses creatively. But yeah, even though it is a ripoff of Treetops, I still love Treetops, which means I'm going to always still like this level. I'm actually surprised that Battle Brawl Islands made it as far as it did in this ranking. I mean, it's barely even a level, but when I looked at it, yeah, I do think it's more fun than all the levels we have talked about before it. But I must say, you have to just listen to this music. I mean, it's amazing and fits the level so well, but like I said, this level is barely a level, where you just go through waves and waves of enemies, but all the enemies and the bosses are pretty good, and Spell Slamzer is a very interesting one-off character, so while it is very bare bones, it does bare bones very good. The Layer of Chaos is a different level to say the least, so they set up the final level of a game as a chaos game show. I mean, it lowers the stakes so much, but I find it funny and it definitely fits the theme of Imaginators. Chaos sets up a bunch of traps which you can't really avoid, so I mean that sucks, but yeah, and the Chaos clones are pretty okay as well. But that's it with this level, and pretty okay is why it gets 67th place. From a lot of people I have heard from, they say Gadfly Glades is one of the best levels, and I have always just thought it was an okay level. It's definitely not a bad level, but I have never thought of it as one of the best. I would think the gimmick is pretty cool, becoming small. If not 2 levels later, you do the exact opposite and become giant, which is just way more enjoyable. And some of the vehicle portions in this level are some of the worst in the game, but the garden vibe is pretty cool, and you do get some cool things out of this level, but there's a lot of things holding it down for me to think of it as one of the best in this series. Cradle of Creation is the first level in Skylanders Imaginators, which happens to be my favorite Skylanders game, but I'm not going to show any bias because it is a pretty basic level. The first half of this level is pretty forgettable, and I'm not even going to lie, but once we get to the second half, this level goes way higher up in the rankings. This place is so cool. It's made by the Ancients, and something interesting is that we see a lot of brains in the level, which means that all the other Ancients might have met their fate in this level, which I find very interesting. But the first half of this level just really holds down the level, and it's not that good in the very beginning, but I think the second part is very good. I have heard a lot of people dog on Abandoned Amusement Park for having a super generic name. And yes, I do agree, the name of it is pretty bad. I think the level itself is pretty okay. Well, this is the second to last level and nothing about it makes me feel like this is the end of a game. I think that it kind of fits with the theme of Imaginators. Imaginators was always going to be a weird game, so this being the second to last level, I think actually kind of fits. Imaginators just was never going to have the same tone as the other 5 games before it, so yes, I am a bit bothered by it. I don't think it's necessarily as bad. This level has a lot of cool platforming, and going through the level is just fun, and it also has the hardest boss battle in the game with the quick shot boss battle. I also like how they fake you out by making you think this level is about to end not 2 minutes after being there.
I think you and I need to frost more cakes together. But for now, we gotta get this bad boy over to Chaos and pronto. All that's left is just to put some candles on top. Hey, where are the candles? I had them stashed right here. Oh, rats. Those creeps stole my candles and are now taunting me with their crime. Oh, I'm so mad I could erupt.
They even put the end music in the background, but then it's revealed that you're missing the cake part still because they were stole by some rats. It's a pretty okay level at the end of the day. Even though I said the Monstrous Isles gimmick was a better idea than Gadfly Glades, the level itself was only slightly better than Gadfly Glades, but I don't think Monstrous Isles is a bad level. No, far from that. Again, becoming an actual giant is something Skylanders giants failed to do, so it feels great being a giant. Getting to stomp around the place and destroying buildings is awesome, but kind of like Tower of Time, I got sick of it by the end of the level, especially because when you walk over buildings, it slows you down, so you have to constantly jump, and none of the boss fights are really that good either. An okay level with some flaws. Auto Gyro Adventure is another level that I didn't think would be as high as it is, but here it is at the 62nd place. The flying sections aren't that half bad, but much like racing games, I'm not fond of flying games either. The flying mechanics though at least are pretty decent, and when you get out of your flying vehicle and get to see the Lost City of Arcus design, it's really good. I've always liked the Lost City of Arcus design, and I think it emulates it here pretty well, and it really makes it feel like the end portion of the game. I just wish that more of the level was less flying and more of what the end of the level was. I don't think that Sky Fortress gets enough credit, as I never hear anyone talk about it, and while obviously it's not a top 10 level, it's a pretty decent level. This was the first level ever shown in Imaginator, so that's pretty cool. Something I like about this place is the level design. I can't quite put my finger on what I like about it, but I just like it a lot. And the hangar area is also pretty nice, and even though the Doomlanders are pretty washed out, I think that the Night Doomlander is actually probably one of the better ones, if not the best. Sadly, right after this level, we had the Guacamole monster boss battle, which does not count as it's actually technically not a part of Sky Fortress. But I didn't think this level would be that high on the rankings, but I think it's actually a pretty decent level. However, this level is only okay, and it's not quite up there with the best of the best. With the Earth Realm now being at 60th place, there's only one more realm left on this list, and a fun fact about this ranking is that I wasn't actually going to include realms at first, as I thought of them more as extended elemental gates than levels, but the top 2 realms convinced me to put them on this list. This is the perfect Earth theme level. Having to mine and roll giant rocks around is perfect for the Earth theme, and look kids, it's Levolution. That's right, Levolution is in this level. Something you don't see often in Skylanders, and while it's nothing major, it's still a good addition, and if you have an Earth Skylander, you can mine all these cubes super fast, which I find oddly satisfying. And in the end of the level, we get a pretty honestly lackluster fight to finish off the realm, but hey, while the stay here might have been brief, it was a good stay nonetheless. Darkwater Cove is a Spyro's Adventure level, something we haven't seen a whole lot of, and this is a pirate themed level, but I still just do not think it has the same quality as the other levels we'll see later on this list, even though I love pirate themed levels. The enemies here are fun though, and the level design is pretty okay. The level does not do a lot wrong for me, but there is just better levels in this series. I will say though, I hate that one of the elemental gates, if you fall off the wooden platforms, you are forced to go back to the start. That's not fun at all, but still, Dark Water Cove is a fun level to go through nonetheless.
Well, with 59th place being awarded, we are officially only halfway through this entire ranking video. That is so insane. But like I said last time, now that we're halfway through, if you're in here for the long run, go refill on some snacks and I guess stretch a little bit, because if you're here for the long run, first of all, thank you, but also I can't believe that, because we still have 59 more levels to go. Wow, it's gonna be a long video. See you guys later.
Land of the Undead has to be one of the best looking levels, especially for an undead themed level. The goal here is to save Master Eon, who's been encased in Traptanium. This entire level is pretty great, however the gimmick of this level, switching points of view, going upside down and sideways, I get why some people would like it, but for me, I got pretty sick of it at the end of the level, especially how the Moneybone boss battle incorporates this, having to go up and down, which really makes it hard to control your vehicle, and that's another thing. The Moneybone boss battle is all in a vehicle. Another really sad thing that happens in Superchargers, having a pretty good character being forced to be fought in a vehicle. And for some reason on Nightmare mode, the Moneybone boss battle is one of the hardest ones ever. Land of the Undead is a good level with some considerable missteps. Midnight Museum is the first ever dark themed level, and it's the level that introduces us to the dark element, and it did a good job at that. I think it was a good idea to make this level a sneaking level, and while I said before that I don't think it quite works in platformers, it kind of works here with the entire aesthetic, which I think is a pretty impressive feat. But the thing for me with this level is that there is a lot of dark style puzzles, which personally, I am not a huge fan of because it slows down the gameplay, alongside the fact that the Nightshade boss battle is really not the best. Midnight Museum, I think though, did a good first impression for the dark element. The second ever level to be themed with the Willikins is Willikin Workshop, and while it doesn't work as good as the one before it, I still think it's a pretty cool place to be. The inside of the factory offers us some interesting platforming, and the Dr. Crankcase boss battle is one of my favorites. Sadly, it just blends in with the other Trap Team levels around it, and it's a shame because I do think that this is a pretty good level. Another level with a Doom Raider boss battle is Telescope Towers, but I don't have as many good things to say about the Dreamcatcher boss battle than I did about Dr. Crankcase. But here in this area before her boss battle is ever so slightly better than Willikin Workshop. I like the whole dream style of this level, making it whatever it wants to be really. Enemies come floating out of bubbles, which is cool, and the set pieces here are very interesting here, as well as being set in a laboratory and everything. Dreamcatcher has worked her magic on making this a great level. She just couldn't work her magic on making her battle as good. Mount Cloudbreak is a very good introductory level for Swap Force. Unlike some other first levels, it doesn't take only 2 minutes to complete, and much like the entire game of Swap Force is a longer level, but it hits that sweet spot of not being too long, but not being super short. This level also introduces us to jumping, and it does it pretty good too, even though the jumping in Swap Force is quite stiff. A good showing for the first level of Swap Force. Whoa, I did not expect Molokin Mine to be here as high as it ended up being, but yeah, looking back at it, I think it's a great level. Love the mine aesthetic, it's great. It really feels like a mine shaft. Even though this level is simple, it does simple really great. There is only one section of this level that I'm not a fan of. You have to move a bunch of cannons around to get a soul gem, which if you remember back in the undead levels, I do not like. Yet, this level is still great and a shock to me being this high, but I'm completely okay with it. Mulligan Mine deserves way more credit than it gets. For some reason when I was a kid, I thought you could just walk past the minefields in Troll Warehouse. For really no reason, I had to lose at least 2 Skylanders for me to figure that one out. But speaking of minefields, we have to go around this level to find pieces of a map which helps us get the correct way across. The level design is pretty spot on. Making it a fire and tech themed level sets it apart from other levels in Spyro's Adventure for having 2 elemental themes at the same time. The level, however, is just a big circle though, and this level is another quick one as long as you know what you're doing, but I can still find some enjoyment out of this chapter, even though it is short. Back at the 69th nice place, we had Enchanted Elven Forest, which I said was a Treetops Terrace clone. Well, Falling Forest is an even bigger copy, but what can I say? It copies it better than Elven Forest, I guess. We have to destroy a bunch of troll giant chainsaw machines because they are killing the trees, which makes the Lorax mad. We even get one of those evil version Skylanders boss battles at the end, but it's probably one of the worst ones in SSA. But the level before the battle is quite great, even if it is a humongous copy of another level.
Okay, we are now officially hitting the top 50 of the levels, and every level from here on out is an example why the Skylanders series is so beloved. Levels are about to get really hard to rank. All these levels are some really good levels that probably all of you like. We're getting to the point in that video where every single level is a good level, and I'm so excited for that. Alright, we still have each game. Spyro's Adventure, Giants, Swap Force, Trap Team, Superstars, and Imagineers are all still in the rankings. So, let's start taking out some contenders for that number 1 spot.
50th place is home to the first ever level in Skylanders, Shattered Islands, and I think it is a very good first impression, I must say. This level is in the middle of a giant evacuation of a town because of a giant tornado is making its way through. In this level we meet icons like Flynn and fight the first ever enemies in the Chompies. Even though all of this is iconic, it is a very simple level, but it's still a great level, worthy of starting out the series and starting out the top 50. An example of doing a simple level really well is Cascade Glade. It is a very simple level like I just said, but that doesn't mean it isn't a great level. We just have to go through what looks like a tropical landscape, and the set pieces here are really beautiful. This is another pretty early level in the game, being the second level of Swap Force, which means that it finally introduces us to more platforming in the Skylanders series, and that's a wonderful thing. While Cascade Glade might not be the most interesting level, it is a very good looking level and a very good level to play through. A theme that I never really expected from Skylanders was a circus theme, but Cutthroat Carnival did that, and it did it pretty good. Something that this level does introduce is the best game known to mankind, Sky Stones. Yeah, that's right. Sky Stones started here, and while the Sky Stone games you play here are pretty basic, Sky Stones is always great. In my opinion, Sky Stones peaked in Giants, so not only does it give us Sky Stones, but it gives us the best version of it as well. As for the level itself, I like it a lot. Going through the carnival and the circus theme really helped this level, as the main focus of it was showing us Sky Stones and how they work. It is a great level that also gave us the greatness of Sky Stones. I have always liked Stone Town. It gave us the first real boss battle in the series, and while it's a bit rocky, see what I did there, it's still fun. This is another cross-elemental theme with both earth and water themes, so we do get a cool little waterfall at the start of the level, and we also get to move some blocks around, which for whatever reason I actually don't mind. The level looks very nice and detailed, even for the graphics of Spyro's Adventure, and I just think it's a great all-time level. However, this is another shorter level, and I just wish it was a bit longer so that I could rank it higher, but 47th place is not bad at all. The Cloudbreaker's Crag has to be one of the most gorgeous levels ever in a game. Just look at the first couple seconds of it. The villages here have been taken over by some of Chaos's army, and we need to try to free all the villagers here. and going through the villages is really nice. And this level would have been higher if it wasn't for those darn vehicle sections from Superchargers. However, riding on the dragon's back is probably one of the better vehicle sections, and actually being on the dragon is even cooler. I love dragons, so this is awesome. It's quite unfortunate that the vehicle sections littered all over Superchargers hurt this level in the long run. If you like arcades, then maybe the Golden Arcade is the level for you. Imaginators has a bunch of random levels that I never thought would be levels, and an arcade theme is one of the levels I would never think would be in a Skylanders game, but I think it worked. Well, obviously you don't get to play a lot of arcade games, I still think the arcade theme is pretty cool. Even Plushy Plaza is okay at least, and it even has some very good background music to go with it. And you're not there that long if it is that bad to you. Skystones is also in this level, and Imaginators tried their best to go back to what Giant Skystones was doing. Overall, a great level that doesn't do much wrong, but just needs a bit more if it wants to be ranked higher. One of the only times a character will say the Skylanders name is in the Oracle. For whatever reason, it's really weird to hear your Skylanders name being called out. I don't know what it is, but you're just not used to it. The Oracle is like one of those choose your own adventure books, as you get two options of what path you want to go down, and choosing what different paths you go down can ultimately change what paths you will get later on. Since there are so many paths, this may be one of the most replayable levels in Skylanders. But not all the paths are the greatest, but still, such a neat idea. I wish they did something like the Oracle in later games, that would have been awesome, but the Oracle level itself is still a pretty great level. Mudwater Hollow has to be one of the worst looking levels if you play Swap Force on the Wii, but if you play it on the consoles it was intended for, it looks really great, even though it's a swamp themed level. I actually like the swamp theme for this level. I think it works. There are sections of this level where you have to go on a tube, and it's a lot like floating down the river, which is pretty cool. There's also this one guy talking through the entire thing, which is funny maybe at first, but after about 2 minutes of it, it kind of wears off. Then we get to the middle, we get to a town where you can explore through the entire town, and that's so cool, being able to go inside all the buildings. There's a lot to do in this level, which makes it a great level in my opinion. You know, I never thought war would be a good theme for a Skylanders level, but Battlefield proved me wrong. Battlefield is much like another level that we'll be talking about in a minute, and I think that this level does the war theme pretty good. I still like war themes in almost any game, but like I said, I didn't think it'd be good in Skylanders, but it is. We get to use bombs to open barriers and everything, and getting to explode stuff is a whole lot of fun. But there is not a whole lot to this level. Also, the boss battle for the Eternal Tech Source is pretty lame, I must admit. It also uses rain in this level, which I really like for some reason. I think it's a really cool idea to use it. I still think this is a great level, however, even with all of its flaws. Darklight Crypt is a place where you have to make pie for ghosts to make them happy. Yeah, apparently ghosts love pies, and this also was the first ever level to use the swapping realms thing, and I think it's the best at doing it. Switching from life to undead realms is pretty fun. I like the style of this level with all the stone bridges and even a small town we get, and the hedge maze is also pretty awesome. We even get to battle a giant bone cyclops at the end of this level, and though it's not the best, I actually still like it since we get to use the swapping realms gimmick in it. This is a pretty great level, and I think almost everyone will agree with that. You know, desert levels weren't doing that good in the ranking, but the Lair of the Golden Queen is a great exception. Desert levels, like I said, are not that good, but this time it really works. This level reminds me of an Indiana Jones movie, and that is a good thing. No, there is no giant boulder chasing us at the end of the level, but there is a giant Golden Queen chasing us, so that's close enough, right? And speaking about Golden Queen, we get to have her boss battle, and it's one of the best in the series. It's pretty hard, but you feel so accomplished when you finally defeat her and Trapper, and like I already said, the level that comes before the boss is also a great level, and it fits with the boss battle, making it one of the better levels in the series in my opinion. Lair of Chaos is the last level of the game. Here's a fun fact. This level is called Lair of Chaos. In Imaginators, the level is called The Lair of Chaos. So, cool. Anyway, the level design is really great. Everything about it screams finale. You have to look out for everything in this level, with traps everywhere. This takes place in the Outlands, and the skybox for it looks amazing. I wish we got more levels that took place in the Outlands. Even though the Outlands is supposed to be desolate of life, it still looks beautiful. However, what's holding this level down a lot is there are spots where you have to do a lot of waiting, and the platforms where you wait on are pretty dang slow. But we also get the first Chaos boss battle too, and it's probably the best boss battle in the game. But compared to the other Chaos bosses, it's not the best. However, it still accomplishes to be a great level in the series and a good ending to the first game. Soda Springs is the highest placing first level, and it gets 38th place overall. This first level has us trapping the first Doomlander and Gulper. Aesthetically, the level is super nice looking. The orange and purple soda rivers are stunning. The annual Soda Fest has been wrecked by the Gulper, who just wants to drink soda because it makes him bigger. Weird premise, but I'm okay with it. This chapter is a great introduction to Trap Team, but I wish we got an actual boss fight with Gulper instead of giving him some eel flavored soda and being over with it like that. A boss battle with a giant would have been so cool, as it's something that we rarely see in Skylanders. Even though it has the misstep of not including the Gulper boss battle, it's still a nice introduction to Trap Team, which makes you want to play the game more. The beta level for Skylanders Superchargers was the Cloud Kingdom, and that was a good decision made by VV because the level slaps. It's a very cool idea showing us Lightning Rod's home. I know officially I'm pretty sure it's not Lightning Rod's home, but come on, it basically is. This entire level is shrouded by fog, and we need to figure our way through the fog. Once again, I'm going to repeat myself and just say what I've been saying about the other levels, and this level looks amazing. And kind of like Soda Springs, I wish that we actually got to fight Lord Stratosphere and not being forced to have to fight him in a vehicle, something that Superchargers for some reason just could not do. Now that Frostfest Mountain is being ranked at 36th place, Swap Force is only hanging on by a thread now. I know that some people probably do not like Frostfest Mountains because it takes place during a blizzard and we need light to see, but I really enjoyed it. It really makes it feel like a snow level, something that the other snow levels failed to do. I absolutely love the part where we get to the small town. It's so good looking, it makes it feel real homey, and I just am amazed by it. Something interesting that you can do is go into every house, which is nice, and even after this part of the level still holds up, making it one of the better snow themed levels in the entire series. Lava Lake's Railway sees us making a railway into the ground so we can take a train to the Eternal Fire Source. Even though there's a lot of stacking blocks and stuff in this level, I am not bothered by it as much because the ending is so worth it. I mean, just look at it. You're inside a volcano, and that's really neat. Just seeing the lava flow below you is so awesome, and the magma rock is magnificent. If the entire level was the end portion, this would have easily been a top 10 level, but sadly, the first portion of it is holding the level down, but being 35th place out of 118 levels is still a good spot to put Lava Lake's Railway. There are only a couple times that Skylanders shows itself in a 2D form, and Spellpunk Library is one of those times. We enter a library to try to find books relating to the darkness. When you enter the library, at first, it doesn't look like it's going to be a long level, but that's only because a good portion of the level takes place inside books where we get a 2D view of everything. An incredible idea, I must say, and even though the voiceover inside the books does get a bit annoying, it doesn't really take anything away from how good Spellpunk Library looks, even inside the books. A very creative idea, which lands it at our 34th place. There are a couple of iterations of Skystones, and Skystone Smash gets introduced to us in Chef Zeppelin. I think Skystone Smash is the second best version of Skystones, so Chef Zeppelin gets points for that. It also gets points for having such a good boss battle in the Chef Pepperjack boss. It is amazing. The food theme is something that is not all common in Skylanders, and Chef Zeppelin nails it. Normal spinning blades are now giant kebabs, and I forgot to mention that you're on a freaking Zeppelin in the air. Really, my biggest problem with this level is at the very beginning starts with a turret section, and everyone knows that turret sections are never a good idea, although it is slightly less of a sin here because we have to try to get inside a Zeppelin that has cannons all over it, so it does make just a bit more sense to put turret sections here than in other levels, but I just really wish we could have figured out a way to get into the level without turret sections. If there was no turret sections, this level probably would have landed somewhere in the 20s most likely, but even with that, this is still a great level that all of you should play if you haven't. Empire of Ice is a weird level for me. I don't know if I would consider it a snow themed level or an ice themed level because for me those are two different things. This is because ice is used as the gimmick here. Ice is the floor here, which makes your movements more slippery, so you have to kind of move slower to not slip around. Level design here is phenomenal. The ice looks really good here and the snow surrounding the level is a nice feel. What holds it back from maybe having a higher score is the ending boss is really bad, if I do say so myself. It is just a big wall that you have to destroy because the wall is keeping the sun out, and that's why this place is so icy. So we had to break the wall, but it would have been way more satisfying if there was a giant ice boss which had a spell over the Empire of Ice which kept it snowing, and we got to battle that instead. However, like a lot of levels with not the best bosses, the level before the boss is really good, which is why it gets so high. Mystic Mill is a level that starts with a turret section. Yeah, that's not good, but it only goes up from that. The wooden theme is something interesting. Mystic Mill takes place at, you guessed it, a mill. But it's a mill that makes evilicans. Get it? They're evil willikins. Nice naming. Anyway, you get to walk around a wood shredder and get some keys to open a door and then fight Frankenstein in what I think is another wood shredder. Although it might not be one of the most interesting in concept, whenever I play it, I love it. Mystic Mill is a very nice looking place, and I would have ranked it higher, but because I cannot give a definitive reason on why I like it so much, it gets 31st place. But if you play the level, I can guarantee you will agree with me. Or you won't, I don't know, but it is a great level. Well, the Water Realm is the final realm from Imaginators on this list, and I really wanted to give it a higher score, but I just couldn't. The Water Realm is definitely the longest realm to complete, and I'm a sucker for water levels, what can I say? All the mini waterfalls around this level are stunning. The floating water platforms and everything about it is great. Even though this is the longest realm, it's still short compared to other regular levels, and I just wish that they gave the elemental realms the same amount of time to compete as regular levels. It is such a shame that the water realm could not be as long, and if it was as long as regular levels, this probably would have been an easy top 10 level. It is just such a gorgeous level, and I'm so saddened that it is not any longer. Sunscraper Spire is our introduction to the light element, and as you can see, it being ranked so high, it made a very excellent first impression. The giant light crystals everywhere and the classic checkered light flowing is very nice to look at. Sunscraper Spire also gives us a huge anime plot twist when it turns out that Mags is actually luminous.
Since you were kindly enough to turn the light energy beams onto the spire, I thought you should be the first to see the wonderful thing that just happened.
The one you thought was Mags was none other than me, Luminous, evil overlord of the light element.
Okay, for some reason when I was a kid, I actually didn't see this coming, but now, yeah, it's very obvious. And unlike Midnight Museum, the final boss fight actually holds up, and Luminous is up there with one of my favorite playable villains. I have always liked the light element more than the dark element, and Sunscraper Spire is a big reason for it. A good level, and a good way to start the 20s on this list. The Lost City of Arcus is the penultimate chapter in Skylanders Giants, and does a great job at setting things up for the final level, because Lost City of Arcus feels a lot like the level that comes after it. The design they use for Arcus themed chapters, like I said, I always love. Also, the Weapon Master returns in this level, which personally I thought was a good call because I loved him in Spyro's adventure. Arcus is a very mysterious place, and I just love walking around this level as it's one of the best designed levels ever. And one thing to remember is all this is taking place underground, as it's such an expansive level, such a fun level to play through, and a very good level. Mirror of Mystery answers the question of what would Skylanders look like if the roles were reversed. Here, Chaos is good and Eon is called Evilon. For some reason though, Eon is the only one with a name change. Like, why is Chaos not called order, because order is the opposite of chaos, but whatever, it's just a minor complaint. We team up with the trolls for the first time ever, and for some reason now have blue eyes. Also, one thing, why are the Chompies still evil? I mean, if everything here is the opposite, then Chompies should be good now. I guess that Chompies are too evil for weird alternate realities. Flynn also steals Chaos's catchphrase and now says doom, cause it rhymes with boom. The cool different dimension was a good idea. The chapter is fun to go through, but I think the level design could have been more interesting. Like, I mean, the rocks have rainbows underneath them, which I guess is cool, but they could have made the level look a bit better because we're in an alternate reality. It should have been something crazy, the level design, but it just looks like a regular Skylanders level, but it's still a fun level. I have no idea, but Leviathan Lagoon has always been so nostalgic for me. The soundtrack is so epic, and oh my god, it's a turret section. Yeah, even with that, traveling from island to island is such a fun experience. The beach theme is so amazing, but the thing is with this level, it is way shorter than I remembered it. I guess when I was a kid, it may have taken me longer to finish this level because I was stupid or something. That is a good possibility. Even with the shorter length though, this still manages to give me a good time whenever I play it. I know a lot of people probably thought this would be an easy lock for the top 10. It is in my top 10 for my SSA levels, but when you add more levels into the mix, it finds itself at 26th place. But keep in mind, levels are now super hard to rank above one another here, and I still love this level. Motleyville, I think, did a great job at combining desert themes and scrapyard themes. I think it fits the chapter very nicely, and Baron von Shellshock is also a very underrated villain that provides us with a funny German accent.
I am sorry to have to inform you that Sharpfin is no longer the Baron. This municipality is under new management, so to speak. You are now the esteemed guests of the great Baron von Shellshock, servant of Lord Chaos and all-around power schnitzel.
Making this a metal scrapyard sets it apart from other desert levels, as it's just not a boring desert place and it has something different to offer. Now, this level does have grind rails, but they're actually pretty okay, as you get to grind on train tracks, which is a whole lot of fun. All the rusty set pieces give it a nice feeling of aloneness, and I like it a lot, and even though Baron von Shellshock's boss battle is not the best, he is a very funny character, so I'll allow it. I can't believe I'm saying this, but at the 24th spot, we're about to knock out the first game in this rankings, and that game is Swap Force with Rampant Ruins being at the 24th spot. Rampant Ruins, in my opinion, is the best that Swap Force has to offer us within its levels, and Activision, I guess, agreed with it because it made a racetrack for it in Superchargers. I love Archeans in Skylanders, so obviously an Archean graveyard would catch my attention. All the giant Archeans everywhere look so captivating, and it really gives us an idea that this place is long abandoned with all the tall grass and mossy stone. Aw man, I really do love this level. While Swap Force is the first game that is completely out of the rings, it still had some great levels to offer us, and with only having 16 levels, while other games had 26 levels, it was always going to be hard for one of its levels to get the top one. But now with one of the games officially being out of the ranks, it's going to be even harder to rank these levels, but let's try. Bringing Order to Chaos is the highest ranking finale level, and it's the highest ranking one for a reason. I mean, the short version of it is that it's basically a better version of the Lost City of Arcus. It takes place in Arcus, and like I've already said countless amount of times, I love the Arcus theming. And the score for it, amazing. And it really makes you feel like you're in a finale of a game. The chapter itself is so much fun to get through, and the final boss, for what the first time it seems like I'm saying, is actually an amazing boss battle. Definitely one of the better Chaos boss fights in the series. You have to do a lot of puzzles, but it doesn't stop the gameplay because the puzzles are usually spike or platform form puzzles, and I will take that any day over log puzzles, and it is a really good way to end off Skylanders Giants. I love Cluck, so when I saw that Captain Cluck's Chicken HQ was the next level I was going to play when I first played Superchargers, I was elated when I saw the title of it. Making Cluck own a fast food franchise was so weird, but I think it worked. And of course, Cluck has ulterior motives with this, so we had to stop him from making a chicken army. Giving this chapter a fall/autumn aesthetic was a good move. It kind of gives me a Thanksgiving vibe, which works because it's a chicken place. And having chickens all around the level is hilarious. Captain Cluck's Chicken HQ was not taking itself very seriously, and that is what the best part of it was, because it knew it was a joke and it was aware of its silliness, which made it such a fun level. But sadly, because Superchargers doesn't know how to use boss battles correctly, Cluck's boss battle, you are forced to defeat him in a vehicle, and I wish we got to fight him in a real boss battle. That would have been so much more better than what we got. We have already talked about 2 ripoffs of Treetop Terrace, and now it's finally time to talk about the original, Treetop Terrace. All of the platforms being trees is so cool, and seeing all the trees and leaves surrounding you is such an amazing look. Something though that is weird about this level is that you can see the bottom of trees, but that doesn't really take anything away from treetops. A cool part of the level that they didn't need to add is that you can see falling leaves on your screen, and that adds to the theme of the chapter. Unlike Falling Forest, this level doesn't end with a lackluster boss fight, which is a good thing for this level. Much like Leviathan Lagoon, this is an easy top 10 Spyro's Adventure level, but when you add other games to the ranks, it gets a bit lower. Still though, very high on this list. Treetops is an absolute classic that myself and everyone else that I have heard from loves. Sky Highlands is another chapter that starts with a turret section, and that is not good, but after that, man, this is a pretty dang good level. This level takes place in the sky, so you get a very extraordinary view of the sky below you. Sky Highlands also kind of uses the Montleyville approach with having a bunch of giant metal all over the place, and it really looks like this was constructed very fast, which makes sense because it was made by a bunch of pirates. The purple crystal is really nice to have in the background as it gives it a nice color, though what really holds the level down is that there are more than one turret sections. The turret sections slow down this level, but without the turret sections it's so good. It's really hard to balance it out, so that's why it gets 20th place, but we also get to meet the icon in Hawkmungus, better known as Taekwon Crow, and he is so funny. Overall, a really good level that is just really unfortunately held down by all the turret sections littered throughout it. Even though Dragon Temple took a lot, and I mean a lot of inspiration from Dragon's Peak, it's still a great level for me. The scenery is amazing with all the buildings being made out of giant scales, which is a good attention to detail. I like the introduction of paths with the fire and ice path, and the brawn and brain path. Like I said in the Oracle, I would have liked to see more of these, and Dragon Temple offers that. And even though it took some liberties from Dragon's Peak, I still think it stands out for being different. Like having sheep enemies is pretty weird because sheeps are usually your friend, even though the sheep enemies are pretty annoying. And the coloring of it is very different from Dragon's Peak. The chapter gets even more beautiful once you get to the ice part of Dragon Temple. Adding a layer of ice and snow over everything makes it look really nice, and the flying section after the Doomlander boss is a very satisfying experience to end it all. Okay, time to knock out another game, that being Superchargers, because Vault of the Ancients gets 18th place. The outside of the Vault of the Ancients may be one of the best looking places in the entire series. The sunset giving it a nice orangish glow, and being in a grassy meadow is very calming, and the soundtrack for it is also super calming. The inside of the vault is also super gorgeous. The blue liquids flowing throughout the entire level, and using push and pull magnetism is an inspired idea that we also see once more after this. The light blue glow through the entire thing is very soothing, and the chapter itself is fun to play through. This may be one of the most calming levels in the entire Skylanders series, and it's also one of the best levels as well. But with Vault of the Ancients being officially ranked, that means that Superchargers is now out of the ranking. I think it's fitting that Swap Force and Superchargers are the first two to go out, because if you don't know, they are my least two favorite Skylanders games, but I have no bias towards them in this ranking. I still think these games are good, just not as good as the other four in the series. Superchargers though still has some whopper levels to give us. While none of the levels of Superchargers get in the top 10, it still has some of the most visually stunning levels, so thank you Superchargers for that. And if Superchargers didn't have vehicle sections throughout the entire thing, I guarantee that some of these levels would have made it into the top 10. Junkyard Isle is the only level in Skylanders that takes place in 3 entirely separate places, which is a cool mix-up of things. We get to go off Flynn's ship and get back on it, and he sends us to a different area. This place is kind of like a test run when you're using the giant, We have walls to destroy, islands to pull closer towards us, and boulders to throw. I think that is what this level was trying to accomplish, and it does it perfectly. To be honest, I really love this level, and I don't really know why. I just think the level design is great, as we get to go to more than one place and get to test the giants, and this is such a fun level to play through over and over again. Even with the 2011 graphics of Spyro's Adventure, Dragon's Peak is a stunning level. You get to see the beautiful blue sky below you, but the evil dragon Vathek has taken over and we need to get him out of town. This level takes place on multiple islands and it's fun to hop from one island to another. We get to see all the floating islands and we get to ride Flavius, and his sections are not actually half bad. You get such a gorgeous view of everything and it makes the level super fun to explore and look around. The only big misstep is that there's no Vathek boss battle. Instead we just get Flavius taking over the throne, turning Vathek to stone. Vathek looks so sick and deserved more than this, but even with that, Dragon's Peak is such a good level to play and explore. The first ever level in Skylanders to introduce some sort of card game inside the level is Pirate Seas. It's a memory game and it changes up the gameplay even if ever so slightly. Another touch that they didn't need to add but they did is that most of the enemies are pirate themed. They have swords and use anchors. I mean, there are still chompies and stuff, but I love it. All the buildings and ships everywhere have such a nice aesthetic, and you also get to ride a pirate ship and blow up an island. Heck yeah. And we get to play one more memory game with some pirates. I actually like the memory game a lot. It's a good change up to your regular gameplay and give you something new, and I can really respect that about the Pirate Seas. A level that shouldn't be as beautiful as it is Mushroom River because it takes place in a dark swamp. Something interesting about this level is that it reveals that Eruptor is an idiot and he likes to drink swamp water. But more than that, this level, like I said, is spectacular. There is a lot to explore inside of the buildings and the little areas you might have to wander off to get to. The bug enemies are super fitting for the Mushroom River. Something I don't see people appreciate enough about Mushroom River is the 2D view you get near the end of the level. It doesn't last that long, but it's pretty nice looking, and you get a good look at the night sky, which is very nice looking. And the Doomlander boss battle is probably one of the least sinful in Imaginators, so yeah, Mushroom River is quite the experience. Rumbletown is a bad level. Wrong answer, as Brock would say. Rumbletown is actually a great level. This chapter introduces us to the famous battle arenas, which for whatever reason were not in Spyro's Adventure. Rumbletown is only the third chapter of Giants, so for what it's worth, it is a simple level, but exploring Rumbletown is always a great time. Even though the level itself is somewhat small, there is a lot of buildings to go into and explore, and for whatever reason, I have no idea, but I love this one part of Rumbletown where you get to go down some stairs and there's two houses and a wishing well. Maybe it's because you get to see the beautiful skybox, I don't know. But this level introduces us to the icon in Brock. I mean, Brock is great and he gives the battle arenas, which is also great. An amazing level that gives us an amazing addition to Skylands. It is a shame that Oil Spill Island is as short as it is. If it was just a bit longer, this would have been an easy lock for the top 10. For some reason, this level is the one that I remember the most when I first played through Skylanders, all the way back in 2011. Fun fact, this is the first ever level to have trolls in it, and we all know that trolls are a big part of Skylanders, so good job Oil Spill Island. Another first is that Oil Spill Island is the first to use light beam puzzles, and they're probably one of my favorite versions of the puzzles. This level used to look something like Leviathan Lagoon, but due to the trolls polluting the island, it is now a wasteland. There is also swimming in this level, which is something they should have never got rid of in Skylanders, and if you have a water Skylander, you can swim around in the polluted waters. We have also to save the Gilman from becoming seafood. Kind of dark, but okay. Playing through this level is so much fun, and I think that almost everyone will agree with that. This is an amazing chapter in Skylanders that unfortunately is just a bit too short to land it in the top 10. Just barely missing out on the top 10 is Nightmare Express, which I did not expect to see here, but through process of elimination, yeah, it gets 11th place. Nightmare Express takes place in Flynn's fantasy, and we know this because Callie openly calls Flynn amazing, which is something she would never do in the regular Skylanders lore. We also are here so Flynn can get the trolley grail, which gives you guilt-free brownies or something, I don't know. This level sees the return of the almighty Noodles, who has not been seen since Glacier Goalie. Oh, I love Noodles, he's so funny, and he's back at it again with his antics. When this level really shines though, is when we get to go on the moving train. Now that is awesome, and we even get to do a fight on the train, even more awesome. I just really wanted to be able to trap Noodles, but I just guess it wasn't meant to be. And the level ends on a somber note as we see the death of Flynn. Well, just kidding, he is alive, but it caught me off guard the first time I played it and got a good laugh out of it.
And that, my friends, is how Captain Flynn recovered the trolley grail, saved the day, and rode the Nightmare Express, which definitely wasn't as scary as the name might suggest.
Okay, wow, I can't believe we made it here, but we're about to enter the top 10 levels in Skylanders. And if you want a head count, Imaginators, Trap Team, Giants, and Spyro's Adventure are all still on the list. These levels are super hard to rank above each other, as these are all 10 absolute classics that everyone enjoys. But yeah, let's get into the top 10 because these are some amazing levels.
It is very sad that most people watching this video do not know how good Lost Imaginite Mines is, as on eBay the lowest price for it is around $500. But if you have played this level, then you know why it's in the top 10. First of all, the main NPCs is blobbers. Yes, finally. Thank you so much, we needed this. Also, it brings back the push and pull magnetism from Vault of the Ancients, and we can pull platforms towards us and even whole islands, so yeah, Lost Imaginite Mines already starts us out pretty good. But then we get into the actual mine, and it's kind of like the second half of the Cradle of Creation, but way better. We get to use magnets, and we get to do some pretty cool puzzles with it as well, having to move balls so we can destroy some walls. Again, this is another level that looks astonishing. All the shades of purple and blue are great, with the loose shards of Imaginite everywhere. All of you know that my favorite Skylander is Blastertron, so look at the boss. I think you can understand why I like this boss, but all jokes aside, it's also a very good boss, even if it is over pretty quickly. But yeah, it's worthy of starting us off with the top 10 levels in Skylanders. I don't know if anyone really expected Goo Factory to be in the top 10, but yeah, you guys know I love the war theme of it, so it's nice. Traveling through the raining muddy trenches is very thrilling, and it also brings back mines, and I do think it's a swell idea for this level to have dodging mines in it, even without a map. And blowing up the turret-filled walls is awesome, with very giant bombs, and it's super satisfying. And to even make it feel more like a war, we get to take over enemies' territories and raise our flags over their bases, a very clever idea. Just the entire level is nice, with it raining, and going through the trenches is as fun as it ever has been. And to top it all off, we get shot off in a cannon and go back to the ruins. An awesome way to finish off an awesome level in Goo Factory. Chompy Mountain is home to one of my favorite characters in Skylanders, Chompy Mage, and you're still not a Chompy, so he still does not like you. We have to go around the bottom of the mountain to spin a couple of Chompy coils so we can gain entrance inside the mountain. The Chompy Mage even stops us a couple times to talk about how he doesn't like us. Usual Chompy Mage stuff, and it only gets better once we get inside the mountain. Having to save some stupid Mabu who got stuck in there, the inside looks so appealing, making it almost feel as if you're in a cave. All the Chompy decor is really funny, and speaking of Chompies, oh my god, that is one big Chompy. And the Chompy Mage boss battle does not disappoint either. Definitely a top 5 boss battle in the Skylanders series, and even quite challenging for only the 3rd level in the game, but I am all up for it. Such a good level that is totally worthy of being in the top 10. Man, these levels are super hard to rank above another, but Crystal Eye Castle is next on the ranking. I really like the skybox for this level, kind of a nice orange-ish vibe, giving it an evening setting, and the beginning is very good, and we even get a waterfall, but one of the best parts is seeing Diggs get knocked out of the area by a giant barrel. So great. This is the first time where Cyclops are seen in Skylanders, and since the chapter is revolved around the Cyclopses, there are eyes everywhere. Big eyes on the walls and eyes on the top of buildings, just always watching you. Nice attention to detail. All the stone is very good looking, and the level design is spot on. Going in the towers and defeating the Cyclops just to destroy the tower on your way out, and when the buildings explode, it's obviously super stiff, but it's pretty funny. You can just never get bored while playing this level because of how well designed it really is. Then in the end we get the Crystal Eye, the thing in which we came for, and we get to add it to the Core of Light. Crystal Eye Castle is such a fun level no matter how many times you play it, and I am always happy to revisit it once again. The first level that gave us the Willikins was none other than Willikin Village. This uses the realm switching in a way that we have never seen it before. As the Willikins say, you have Sleepy Time Realm and Awake Realm. The Sleepy Time Realm is, at least what I think, the normal realm, where all the Willikin are actually just wooden people and everything in the town is made out of wood. But the Awake Realm is what the Willikins see. Everyone's alive, and the buildings aren't just wooden boards with paint on them, they're actual buildings. And oh, this chapter even introduces the Chompy Mage, so it gets some brownie points for that, obviously. No other level is as fun to realm hop than as a Willikin Village. Having two different realities is such an ingenious idea. Even the enemies change when you hop between realms, like these big tree enemies look like this in the Sleep Realm, and they turn into actual trees in the Awake Realm. And Chompies are fire Chompies in the Sleep Realm, and they are regular Chompies in the Awake Realm. And much like Trap Team, the Chompy Mage boss battle in Willikin Village is another great boss battle. This is one of the most creative levels in the series, so it should be no shock to anyone that it gets so high on the ranking. Okay, so we're about to take out another game from the ranking, and we are taking out Trap Team with Phoenix Sanctuary getting 5th place. First of all, this level is breathtaking, with all of its colors and flowers everywhere. This chapter sees us going through the Phoenix Sanctuary, I know, shocking, so we can save the Phoenix egg from Chef Pepperjack so he does not use it in his evil omelet. Toys for Bob showcase the Phoenix Sanctuary in the beta of Trap Team, and what a great idea, seeing as it is one of the highest ranking levels in the entire series. You can never get bored during this level. You're always placing boingo nuts and making bridges or jumping on bounce pad and fighting enemies. There is not a dull section of it. Also, if you're cunning enough, there are a bunch of secret areas to find, which I always appreciate. Even the inside of the sanctuary, which I will admit is not as good as the outside, still has things to offer us, having to dodge giant eggs and finding even more secrets. It also ends with a battle arena, which is another thing I can appreciate. So now, Trap Team is out of the ranks, but it shouldn't be disappointed at all. Trap Team had so many classics to give us. This game is the Skylanders community's favorite game overall, and by looking at its roster of levels, it is no secret why. Now, with it being out of the rankings, things have just got even harder, but I'm going to try to rank all the levels we have left. Already, after taking out Trap Team, we're taking out another game. That game being Giants, because Drill X's Big Rig is ranked at 4th place. I think everyone knew this would be a top 10 level, it's just where would it land in the top 10. The background music is a perfect match, and the dark green background really sets the mood of this level. It's also neat to see a giant drill underneath the level at some points, something they didn't have to add but they did, and I really love it. I like the use of fire enemies as well in this level with the fire chompies to flamethrower wielding enemies. It is a nice addition. And it's really cool that you get to use conveyor belts to travel as well. And how could you forget to mention Drill X, the man, the myth, the legend. I mean, he sings for crying out loud.
This drill bot is on the scene. I'm looking forward and back with a rubble attack, 'cause you're messing with the wrong machine.
How could this not be a top 10 level? But even without him singing, it is still a great boss battle, and this level still would have easily made it to the top 10. But Drill X singing is just the cherry on top of it. But since Drill X's big rig has been officially ranked, that means that Giants is now out of the ranking, and even though the Giants levels didn't get placed higher than the Spyro's Adventure levels, I still believe that Giants is a slightly better version of SSA. And Giants came into this ranking being at a disadvantage with only having 16 levels, but still managed to get 2 of them in the top 10. Giants is a great Skylanders game, and seeing it showing on this ginormous ranking, I think you can see why that is. Archean Armory has one of the best opening sequences. You enter the level in complete darkness, and then you gain light, and seeing all the giant Archeans is a fantastic way to start out a level. I have said so many times that I love the Archeans. Having a level all about them would obviously rank very high, but even with my own discretion aside, I still think it manages to be a great all-time level. This is also the first time we get to ride an Archean as well, and unlike Secret Vault of Secrets, this is a very fun time. Probably riding and seeing all the lava flow around you is one of the reasons, and getting to the endpoint even closer to the lava with the molten rock underneath you is such a sight to behold. I mean, just look at that. Being able to fight all types of Archeans is another really fun experience. We don't see lava all that much inside of Skylands, and the way they use it here is so perfect. Then we have to find all the switches to the area to unlock the eternal magic source, and because of that, we get to finally finish off the Core of Light, which sets up for the end of the game greatly. From beginning to end, this level amazes me of how good it looks despite having the graphics of 2011. It is a very good example to other games how to incorporate lava into their levels. Okay, it's time to knock out another game. And that game is Imaginators, with Cursed Tiki Temple being ranked as our second place finisher. So yeah, this is another case like Lost Imaginite Mines where plenty of you probably haven't played this level, as it's way too expensive nowadays, and that is so unfortunate because this obviously is a great level because it's being ranked at second place. It is just so sad to me that not a lot of people will be able to experience this amazing level. Just by the first seconds of this level, it looks incredible. The tiki theme of the chapter was such an amazing idea, and I love how the sky is multiple colors going from blue to purple to orange. But not only does this chapter aesthetically look great, it is a great level to play through. We also get to ride a giant stone dragon. I mean, just look at it, it is awe-inspiring. Making our way across the back of the dragon is such a sight to behold. When we get inside the dragon, we also have multiple paths to go through, and they each offer us something great to the level. Then we get outside the level with a massive beautiful void in the backdrop now. We have to get Bob, the main NPC, back on his throne to stop all the bad things that has been happening in this level. There is actually a theory that this level is a metaphor of what Toys for Bob went through while working under Activision and making the Skylanders games. It is a really solid theory that maybe, if you're interested in, look up after this video. But yeah, this is one of the best levels, so for whatever reason, if you ever find Wildstorm for a good price, please get him so you can experience this masterpiece in game design. If you guys don't know, Imaginators is my favorite Skylanders game, even though Imaginators started off this ranking with Griffin Park Observatory. All the way back at 118th place, it still had some amazing levels to offer us, and Cursed Tiki Temple is an example of that. Imaginators may have not been the most well-received game, but I have always thought it was the peak Skylanders game, If all of its levels were even close to the same quality as some of its higher ranking levels, it would have been one of the best games ever made. But with Imagineers out of the ranking, there is only one level left that remains on this list, and that level is from the original game.
Wow, we have seen some all-time great levels, not just in the Skylanders series, but in gaming in general. So after 117th placements, what could possibly be the #1 spot? Well, I usually don't say this, guys, but since this has been such a big video, if you feel like I have earned it, please like, subscribe, and share the video. I've technically been working on this video since December of 2020. So, yeah, it's taken us a while to get here. But with all that being said, there's only one more thing to do. Get the drum roll in. The best level in Skylanders history is...
Quicksilver Vault. That's right, just entering this level already looks amazing, and riding on the giant chain is so great. All the blue liquids flowing through the rocks on the bottom of the vault is out of this world. And guess what? Archean's here, so yeah, that helps it out some. Quicksilver Vault, coincidentally, is home to my favorite soundtrack, used in the entire series as well. Using chains to traverse from place to place is a neat way of doing it, since that is how we got here too. The Weapon Master in all of his glory guides us on our way through this magical place. This is such a beautiful place, and I love it so much. The nighttime sky here is done so well, along with all the set pieces used for this level. If you don't know, Quicksilver is liquefied metal, so seeing all the blue metal shine below us as we cross from platform to platform is so wondrous. Even getting an aerial view of this level, which just showcases all of its beauty, is amazing. The level design is great, and there's not a bland part of the vault. I mean, how amazing this level is in both game design and just being a fun level as well is amazing. And I'm going to mention the music again, because just listen to it. Wow, it is good, and just whenever you hear it, you instantly know it's from Skylanders. Everything about Quicksilver Vault is why Skylanders is so beloved, its gorgeous soundtrack and the gameplay of it being top notch, as well as all the sensational looks it has. From the moment you enter this level until the time you leave, it's pure bliss. Once you finish Quicksilver Vault, all you want to do is go back into it. If Toys R Bob were to ever release a remaster of Skylanders, the first thing I would want to see is how spectacular this chapter of Skylanders would look with the boosted graphics. So yeah, with all that being said, in my opinion, Quicksilver Vault is the quintessential Skylanders experience, and throughout this amazing journey of however long this video ends up being, I could not think of a better level to place it #1. Oh my goodness, I did not think that ranking all these levels would be such a mission as it ended up being. But thank you to all of those who have watched this from worst to first, as we ranked every single Skylanders level. Dang, even though it's been a while, I think we all agree that Skylanders changed the gaming scene for its stay, and I hope that one day we will see the return of these dudes that shaped a lot of our childhoods. And real quick, I just want to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed to this channel. Initially, this video was planned to be my 1,000 subscriber special, and the channel has grown so much since, and I cannot thank you guys enough. Also, a massive shout out to the channels that I got some of the gameplay from for this video. Thank you to Sakusphere for all the SSA and Giants levels, and thank you for Pack Attack for all the Swap Force levels. The rest of it, even though it took me forever, I did get myself. And also a big, humongous shout out to Eyed Jak, who inspired this entire video. If you don't know, Eyed Jak is one of the most underrated guys out there. If you've never heard of him, please go subscribe to him. He has done 4 of these. He's made 4 every level ranked videos, and they're all sensational. It is a high recommendation to watch him, and he is the sole inspiration for this video, so thank you so much to him. This was such a big task to get done, and I'm so happy that we are finally here. At first, I did want to do every Skylander rank, but as of right now, I simply cannot do that, as I do not have every base form of the Skylanders, so sorry guys. This is what I made instead, but I hope you are as happy as I am with the final version of this.
And a big shout out to everyone who watched this video in one sitting. I have no idea how you did it, if you did, but thank you so much. It means a whole lot to me, because with the script being as long as it was, this is definitely the longest and biggest video I've ever made on the channel. So thank you all so much for watching the entire thing if you did, and even if you didn't watch the entire thing, I totally understand. Just thank you to all of you who have watched. But with all that being said, you guys are probably dying to get my face off your screen, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. See you guys later.